Do you want to get Cognitive Dissonance streamed to your iPhone or BlackBerry? If so, download Stitcher free today at Stitcher.com.
So last time I had thought I was putting on the Skeptic's Creed at the end of the show, but what I really did was not put it on. So instead of going back and fixing that file, I thought it'd be like one of those, really rare uncut stamps that in like 10 years it would be worth millions and millions of dollars. And just so the people that didn't get the Skeptic's Creed fix last time, they can actually get their Skeptic's Creed fix this time from our guest who's going to be on our show, Jake from the Imaginary Friends Show. So I'm going to play Jake's Skeptic's Creed right now.
Credulity is not a virtue. It's fortune cookie cutter, mummy issue, hypno-Babylon bullshit. Couched in scientician, double bubble, toil and trouble, pseudo quasi alternative acupunctuating pressurized stereogram, pyramidal free energy healing, watered downward spiral brain deadpan sales pitch light night info docutainment.
Well, you are looking a bit fat.
Leo Pisces Cancer cures detox reflex foot massage, death and towers tarot cards, psychic healing crystal balls,
totally real,
Bigfoot Yeti, aliens, church mosques and synagogues, temples, dragons, giant worms, Atlantis, dolphins, truthers, birthers, witches, wizards, vaccine nuts, shaman healers, evangelists, conspiracy doublespeak stigmata nonsense, expose your sides,
Kick off your
thrust
pants.
your hands,
Inside me.
bloody evidential conclusive,
I like your boobies.
doubt, even this.
That's cognitive dissonance.
Be advised that this show is not for children, the faint of heart, or the easily offended. The explicit tag is there for a reason. This is Cognitive Dissonance. Every episode we blast anyone who gets in our way. We bring critical thinking, skepticism, and irreverence to any topic that makes the news, makes it big, or makes us mad. It's skeptical, it's political, and there is no welcome mat. This is episode 46 of Cognitive Dissonance, and for this episode, we have a very special guest. We have Jake coming to us all the way from Austria, from the Imaginary Friends Show. Let it not be said that I do not do my research. Jake from Austria, thank you for being on. Was it difficult to get the lederhosen?
No, it was not difficult at all. It was not difficult at all, Tom. Thank you for asking.
He's got that little fucking Ricola hat on, big ol' horn.
Occasionally, I have to put on some form of powder or some form of lubrication to get on the lederhosen, but it's okay today.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's okay today.
You actually kind of sound like you're, I don't know, like you kind of sound almost Spanish with that accent.
No, it's not Spanish. It's most definitely Austrian.
Look, listen, all foreigners sound
They
funny.
really do.
Can we just agree on that?
They totally sound
No matter
funny.
where you're
It doesn't
from,
matter.
all foreigners just are hilarious.
Does not matter.
I agree. Actually,
By
the
nature.
funniest accent in the world is American.
What the fuck you talking about? Accent.
Yeah.
What the fuck does that mean?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I'd be offended if that wasn't obviously
obviously.
true.
But I can keep up this Austrian
No,
accent
really,
all day.
please.
It's no problem.
No, that's
no,
plenty.
you can't, it turns
Yeah.
out. No, that's not actually a true. So the first story that we're going to go over with Jake from Austria, Imaginary Friends Podcast, is from goodisyou.org. Because who doesn't read that all the time?
Me.
This is Amendment 1 pastor gives parents special dispensation to use violence against LGBT kids. Specifically, this fucking lunatic, Pastor Sean Harris, speaking during his Marriage Sunday sermon, well played, sir, advocates that if your kids are limp-wristed, you should just hit them.
yes, fist them.
Just Right. nothing will get the That'll get rid of the gay like a good
That's the
old
thing, isn't
fashioned
it?
fisting.
Yeah,
Right,
that's the
sure,
thing.
absolutely.
You just fist them right in the face. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's
I have
where you were
seen
going
that
with that.
before, actually. I've witnessed it. Now, hold on. Now, in Austria, do you guys beat the fuck out of your gay kids too? Or
Oh, we try to. We
Yeah.
try to. But, you know, being... See, okay, look. Let's be serious here for a second. In Australia...
That's not our forte.
Yeah.
Really.
in Australia, we have some of the most deadly and dangerous animals in the world, right?
Admittedly, yes.
Okay. So we learn to run very fast at a very young age. So, you know, if you have any sort of vulnerability, then you need to learn how to run, you know, faster than anybody else so that you can outrun anybody, right? So our
Right.
gays, they are fast, right? Our gays are extremely fast. So if you have any latent homosexual tendencies, you got to learn to get the fuck out of anywhere.
Man.
All right?
I've actually heard about the Australian speed gays. That's I
Speed
heard
gay.
that's going to be Olympics.
I love
They
it.
can run
The
across
Australian-
water. They just wave their hands, run as fast as they can actually skim
I'm pretty sure
right
that's how
across
Jesus
water.
did it too.
Yeah, pretty much. Hold on now. Are you calling Jesus gay? Hold on a second.
Yeah, well, you know.
Little known fact: Jesus was an Australian guy.
Who else is going to hang out with 12 bachelors?
Hey, admittedly.
And a bunch of prostitutes as well.
No, that makes sense. I mean, you don't want to get Steve Irwin, you know? I mean, like, that's a bad deal.
Yeah.
So,
Too soon.
That's true.
Too soon.
That's true.
so specifically, this pastor says, dads, and I like this because he addresses specifically the fathers. The second you see your son dropping the limp wrist, you walk over there and crack that wrist.
Fist it.
Man up.
Yep.
Give him a good punch, okay?
Yep.
You're not going to act like that. Yeah, I mean, so this seems like a reasonable, rational, well thought out sort of a sermon that could not possibly be misinterpreted by crazies the world over.
Yeah. The cool thing here is, doesn't he mention something like your 4-year-old boy, if your 4-year-old boy is doing something?
Yeah.
Yeah, here we go. So your little son starts to act a little girlish when he's 4 years old, and instead of squashing that like a cockroach and saying, man up, son, get that dress off you and get outside and dig a ditch, because that is what boys do.
Ditch.
Well, you know, these things that they say have consequences, and here we go. I've just found an interesting little article. It's in newsobserver.com. The headline reads, Boy 4 shot to death for being gay because he slapped a
What?
boy's behind.
What?
So, you know...
Well, that's horrible.
Yeah, it is.
That is the worst fucking thing wow.
But these things,
4.
yeah, these things have consequences. Like there's moronic pastors out there saying, you know, if your boy looks like he's being a little gay, you know, if he's drinking some tea and manages to lift his pinky, then you need to just crack him, you know, with a baseball bat or something like that. Correct the behavior. Well, somebody has taken that sort of talk seriously and shot his kid because he touched another boy on the behind. So, you know, these things have consequences.
Absolutely.
You can't let these morons say this without being challenged.
Here's what strikes me about that story too is, you know, you think of a gun as kind of an equalizer, right? You know, if I want to damage Mike Tyson in some way, I'm not going to go up and smack him in the head.
throw a
right?
tiger
That's not
at him,
going to
yeah.
work out for me. Yeah. I'm going to bring a gun to that fight,
Okay.
right? Because he's the only way that I'm going to win that fight. This man brought a gun to his 4-year-old. He's like, oh, I've got to stop that. Where's my gun? Because otherwise that 4-year-old going to whoop my ass.
Yeah. The story is actually even worse than that. Basically, it
good.
was a few days after the boy had touched this other boy, or smacked the other boy on the bottom. The man who shot his son said to a couple of girls in this particular commune that he's in to set up some computers and some speakers in his garage and to play religious music and prayers over and over again while this little boy sat on a piece of carpet
What?
in the garage, and then eventually he shot him.
Where did this happen?
In the U.S., in North Carolina.
Only in North
Okay, so I
Carolina.
got to ask you a question here, Jake. I'm not familiar sort of with I'm really not familiar at all with Australian politics. I'm also really not familiar with Australian society, but I want to ask you a question. Are gay rights just as big an issue in your country as they are here? Because here they're so fucking volatile. You are either a homophobe or you're a gay lover. What is it down there? Is it just as divisive?
It is, absolutely. I campaign for the Greens Party here in Australia, and I'll be running for them later on. Next year, I believe, when the next federal election is held. And the head of my daughter's school at which I was campaigning for the Greens, I happened to bring up the issue of homosexuality getting married. And my view is basically that I know plenty of gay people who don't want to get married, right? I know plenty of gay people who I'm, very close friends with, who just, are not interested in getting married. But my view is that if we don't legalize gay marriage, then the bigots have a place to hide.
Right.
They've always got this place that says, well, we're different in this one particular way. We might have exactly the same physiology, but the government recognizes my ability, my right, my legal right to get married, and doesn't recognize yours. So clearly the government says that we are different, right? So I was having this very conversation, basically raising the exact same points with this guy, with the head of my daughter's parents and children's association, parents and teachers type association thing that we have here. And he said, well, I don't mind the gays, right? And that's trouble.
Yeah,
right?
you're cocking the gun at that point.
All right. I'm just cocking the fist there. Cocking the fist. So you go, okay. I think that maybe came out wrong.
Actually, just a cock involved.
So anyway, I'm at my daughter's school and I've got my cock in my fist.
Sure.
And,
you can understandably he's upset.
He's not allowed by that school anymore. 1,000 feet, they said.
And that's the punchline.
Right,
yeah.
Sure.
No. So I'm standing there. I'm having this conversation with this guy, and he says, "So I don't mind the gays." But what I have the problem with is them doing this stuff in front of me. Like, they're out there having their parades and throwing their junk about. They want to kiss and hold hands and all of that sort of shit. And, my comment was basically, I go on public transport quite regularly, and I feel a little bit uncomfortable when two teenagers of opposite sex, are getting it on and grinding against each other. It's perfectly fine to feel uncomfortable with people getting it on in front of you, but for crap's sake, these are people. They're exactly the same. They have the same blood and everything else. But sorry, to answer your question in a very extremely long-winded way, yes, it is a divisive issue in Australia.
Yeah, I'm with you. I actually yesterday I was down by the lakefront here. We have the lakefront is a place where all the teenagers go to grope each other. And I was driving my bike, and nearly everybody is walking where, like, the guy's standing there and the girl's got her ass on his crotch, and they're walking as and they're, like, making out. And you're like, and I felt the exact same way. I'm like, okay, yeah, can you get a
Sorry,
room?
did you just say that the girl has her ass on his crotch and they're walking? Like, how does that work?
It's really fucking awkward, dude. It looks ridiculous. I mean, it really looks...
There's a level of coordination
Actually,
I find admirable.
What? They should be trying out for the circus. You know what I mean? Because it's really pretty amazing. But no, like it's constantly like you just see this. That people are just making out down there, but it's like, look, what the fuck? These people want to feel some sort of companionship with each other. Who am I to say they can't do that? Whether they're gay or straight, it's not up to me. I don't want to see anybody really with a lot of PDA, but what the fuck? Like my rights end at my nose. You know what I mean? Your rights start right where right there too. So I don't want to be the one to enforce my rules on somebody else. And that's why when somebody says it, you just got to tell them, shut the fuck up and grow up.
Yeah.
I like that. It's like, hey, let's go for a fucking walk. Okay. Let's go for a fucking walk.
I got to take a picture of this just so people could see. It's absolutely ridiculous.
It sounds hilarious. Are you sure they're not mentally compromised? Yeah. Because we could be making fun of a bunch of people who,
Yeah, I hadn't considered it. But that's fine for the show. I don't know if you knew, but that's sort of par for the course.
We're good with that. Actually,
on this show.
That's totally fine. I think anybody who makes me uncomfortable, that shit should be illegal. I'm just saying. I mean, anything that makes me personally uncomfortable should be illegal. Particularly warm days. Illegal.
How do you enforce that?
Particularly cold days.
That, though?
Illegal.
Yeah.
Too much rain, too little rain, all things that make me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And being a grouchy fuck,
Right,
that's most
right.
stuff. Just fucking illegal. Outlaw it all.
Yeah.
Hey, look, I don't mind as long as I'm not made uncomfortable. Because the moment I'm uncomfortable, you should have less rights.
I think that's pretty much the central tenet of all religions.
So we're joined again by Jake from the Imaginary Friend Show podcast. Jake, you announce your podcast. You call it the one true podcast of science, skepticism, religion, current affairs, and politics. Could you fit any more fucking things in your show?
Yes.
All right. Question answered, and we're done.
Thanks, Jake. Thanks for coming on. We appreciate it. Do you ever get into fights with people about the one true podcast thing? Because your religiosity...
I ripped it off them.
Oh, yeah, okay, all right, fair enough. Because I thought the irreligiosophites were going to come after you, man.
No. They're a benign bunch. They talk a big game, but you know, tiny penises, every single one of them.
And let's not forget, you live on an island.
Yeah.
So, I mean, really, there's a fucking geographical barrier, which is to your advantage.
Right.
I've played Risk.
Yeah.
Okay. Australia is the place to be.
Australia is the place to be, that's for sure. So Jake, we want to ask you a few questions here. What is first off, I've heard you on your show. I'm going to talk about your show here in a few minutes, but
Sure.
I want to ask you a question. I've heard you talk to a couple creationists, and you seem to really know quite a bit about geology and about anthropology. Do you have an advanced degree of some kind, or
No.
are you
What is
just
your
were you just
background?
born a genius? Is that what happened?
Yeah. I mean, basically, I'm an idiot savant. No, I am an actual genius. I have a membership to Mensa, which I got when I was only 4, which is actually the youngest in all of Australia. So, I mean, I've got that going for me.
Right,
No, I'm
sure.
just kidding, of course. No,
Will that give you? Can you get a free bowl of soup with that? Is that what you
you do,
get?
yeah. As a 4-year-old, you get a free bowl of soup.
Right.
They go to McDonald's and get you a McDonald's plate choice. No, you
don't have McDonald's down there. Who are you kidding?
I just have good friends. Basically, I've got a friend who has a PhD in geology. I'm currently studying anthropology.
I see.
Doing a postgrad degree. Which is taking a very long time, but I'm well studied, and I've spent plenty of time, researching the topics. But I mean, most of all, when you get these people on the show, you know what they like to talk about, so you do sort of your best to research.
I see.
What they're going to talk about, what you think perceive that they're going to pick on.
I see.
Do your best to counter it.
Research?
Yeah, don't even try.
Research.
Don't even try, Tom.
Yeah.
Just don't even try.
Well, the thing is, educated people generally, refuse to speak to me, and for good reason. So, I don't have the same, the same advantage there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, hey, bravo to you.
So tell us about your show, Jake.
Yeah, so, well, as you said, it is the one true podcast on science, skepticism, religion, politics, and current affairs. We do our best to, much the same as you guys. In fact, I might say that we do a very similar job, except I do it ever so slightly, if not significantly better. So basically, yeah, we do a very similar thing. We look at the news from around the world, various different things, plenty of religious stuff, plenty of skeptical stuff, plenty of politics. Again, very similar to you guys, except just, I suppose, a different sort of spin. We try to have a panel of 3 to 4 to 5 people on each week with different backgrounds, etc. And it's sort of like just a panel type show at the best of times. And then we also do interviews. We also like to have a nice little comedic spin. We do a few skits every episode as well. I've written a few songs and I drop them in there as well. It's basically just a good, fun podcast centered around science and skepticism and atheism, etc.
Why'd you get started in it, and how long have you been doing it?
So I've been doing it for just under 2 years now. I started it after, in Australia, we had the very first Global Atheist Convention in 2010 in Melbourne. And I went to that. And for me, as an ex-religious person, I had a lot of problems when I came out of my religion. I was really freaking out. I didn't know that anybody else had questioned their religion. I didn't even think that you were allowed to question your religion, but I did question it, and it ended up falling over like a nice big house of, metaphorical cards. And when that did happen, I thought, I'm completely freaking alone here. Who can I turn to find similarly minded individuals that I can hang out with? And so it ended up that there is actually an atheist community, and they're fucking awesome. So I went to the convention, and I came back just with complete awe, filled with awe and wonder, and wanting to do something to help people that were similar to me, who went through similar types of experiences, who went through the depression, the post-traumatic stress disorder, and all of that hairy crap, and who got out the other side and try to be sort of a bastion for hope, if you will, at the same time as being somewhat funny. But yeah, I just got a group of people who had also been to the convention together, who live in the same state as I do, and we started it. But it's awesome. It's good fun.
I have to ask you this question. I heard your interview with Ray Comfort.
Yes.
And I was disappointed, like you were, that the mustache is not dwelling alone.
Yeah.
But is now sidekicked by the beard.
Yes.
That I think is fucking tragic. So I got to ask you, are you intimidated by bananas at all? Is that
only large bananas, and it's for another reason. No, yeah, I'm not. Actually,
because he really, I thought he came after you there.
Yeah.
With the banana thing, it was an almost undodgeable bullet. Your Matrix skills were impressive at that moment, I have to say.
There were a couple of things. Firstly, I was a little bit disappointed with myself after that interview. I unfortunately, I didn't, we were talking earlier about how you prepare sort of for these interviews. Like, I didn't prepare as much as I would have liked to on evolution. So when he asked, as creationists invariably always do, give me some evidence for evolution. Unfortunately, I had so many different things in my head. I went for the one that I'm perhaps least prepared to defend, which is phylogenetics. Now, it's going back to the banana. I've had the ancient style bananas in the Philippines, and they are fucking abhorrent. Like, they are so disgusting. They're so bitter and gross, and they're full of seeds. They are abhorrent things. So there is absolutely a difference. Yeah, but look, he was on his game. He is a master salesman.
He is fucking good at what he does. He's a great rhetorician, and I'll tell you, I was on the train on the L here. I was going to teach a class, and on my way, I'm sitting there listening, and I'm kind of like letting out these little bursts where I'm like, oh, you should have said this. Oh, you should have said this. And it's so easy to Monday morning quarterback somebody when, after they've already done this interview.
Yeah.
When you're in the moment, it's a lot harder. But there's this one moment, too, where he asks you a question. He says something about, is it okay then for a person to marry their dog or something? He says, because he's trying to say that gay marriage is bad.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I was screaming, I was like, it's not a consensual relationship. It's not a consensual relationship. And you kind of got there, but I was like I wanted to give you a push. You just you have that sort of empathy where you're like, no, I know he knows it. I know he knows it. He's gonna say it soon. But he's so on his game. He just gets you. He just has he's such a great rhetorician. It's hard to argue with that guy.
No, well, I appreciate you patronizing me in such a way. No,
hats off. I mean, you sucked at it. You really sucked at it. But hats off.
I did get one
win.
win.
Look at the cock up we're doing to this interview, for Christ's
No
sake.
kidding, right?
I did get this one win in, though, in the very beginning. Right, I started off the conversation by, I can't remember the guy who I quoted, but I said, if you can fake sincerity, you've made it. And I'd like to introduce Ray Comfort.
Awesome.
That was beautiful.
Because
awesome.
you recognize. Look, I was a salesman many years ago, and I studied for a really long time to get really good at it. And there was this guy that I used to work with. I can't even remember his name, but he was an absolute master. He would sell the best and the most expensive cars anytime a family walked in there. And he used to do this guilt thing that I recognize every time I hear Ray Comfort talk, right? And he says, well, look, so he gets this family together and he'd say, look, I could sell you this car. I really could. It has all of the needs that you could ever possibly want, right? But, I sold a car like this to a family a few weeks ago. And then later on that week, I saw this news item and a family had died.
Come on.
Because, there wasn't enough airbags in the car. And it just got me thinking, I really should have sold the car with all of the airbags for all of the passengers to those people. And I've got to tell you, while this car here could absolutely meet your needs, this car over here that, look, it's $10,000 more expensive, but it is so much safer. And I don't think that with a good conscience, I could sell you this cheaper car.
It's funny that you say that because that's actually all my cars I fill top to bottom with styrofoam packing peanuts. It's a much cheaper solution. It's hard as hell to see out the windshield. I'll say that.
You got to brush the kid off too when he gets out. It's a pain in the ass.
Static electricity.
Fucking static is ridiculous. I got to ask you though, Jake. We're talking about the creationists you've had on.
Yeah.
You pointed me when we first started talking. This is months ago. Jake, by the way, listeners, Jake is one of the nicest guys ever. He sends us an email out of the blue just telling us, hey, I saw you're on that poll and you're doing great and congratulations. Like, out of fucking nowhere. Like, what the fuck is up with you people in Australia?
Well, we're nice people.
So anyway, we're getting to talking and I start listening to your show and then you point me to the Westboro guy. You had a Westboro guy on your show.
That was so good.
You made me laugh out loud when you did the designer comment about God. You said God is he's this amazing designer. Do you think it's a case of thou dost protest too much? And it was just it was a hilarious joke. And you just got stunned silence from the Westboro guy. I got to ask you though, you got Ray Comfort on. I heard recently another episode that you had another creationist who was really into geology, and then you've had this Westboro guy on. What do you hope to accomplish when you have these people on your show? What's your goal?
Really just to make the cool thing is when you have anybody like this on, they promote your show for you, right? Their name alone promotes your show. You post that show that you've just produced with their name in the title. You post that onto Google, whatever it is, plus thing, or Facebook or Twitter. And those keywords get picked up by people and people will listen to your show. But also if you send those links to the people that you interview, they send those links out to their friends who listen along and, just to see, to critique, to see how well they went. And I suppose my goal, aside from, showing the friends of these fundamentalist nutbags that, this stuff needs to be questioned and it does in fact have answers that are different to the dogma that they're purporting. Aside from that, for me as an ex-religious person, I've been through that similar mindset that they constantly go through. Right, I've felt what they feel. I've felt the burning in the bosom, so to speak, that they speak of. I've felt Jesus inside me, deep inside me. And
I hope he lubed up for you, buddy.
Unfortunately, no. I wish he did. I wish he did. A prolapsed anus ago, I really wish he did. But no, look, when you look back and you look at these emotions that they feel and their emotions that you've felt yourself, you just hope that there's somebody out there that is similar to you, that might be going through experiences similar to what you went through, and you're able to show them that there are other answers out there, and they are far better than the dogmatic ones. That's I suppose part of the aim.
Sure.
The other aim is, of course, to promote my book.
Hey, Jake, you have a book?
No, yes.
Tell us about your book.
Sure. Why not? So I wrote this book. It's called Letters to Christian Leaders, Hollow Be Thy Claims.
Nice.
Which is modeled after the Our Father prayer for those Catholics or ex-Catholics in your audience. And basically, it very similar to the show. Basically, we take claims made by religious leaders and we counter them using facts, science, logic, comedy, all of that sort of stuff. And there's a huge section in there about Kurt Cameron and Ray Comfort as well, about the banana, which I go into a great deal more depth to what I did on the interview.
Depth with the banana? Okay,
yes.
Yeah, fair enough.
Very deep. Yeah. We go very deep.
And your book's an ebook, right? It's available on Amazon?
Yeah, it's an ebook and it's a hard copy book too, yes.
Okay.
On Amazon, yes, absolutely.
So I got to ask you, you cover in your show American politics. This is something we don't, we're fucking such xenophobes. We don't even pay attention to people that are living here, let alone outside of the United States, right? But but you cover American politics on your show. I got to ask you a question. Now, recently, I don't know how in depth you cover American politics, but you seem like you know quite a bit. The Republican primary ran recently, and we're still sort of in the midst of it. Although really Romney looks like is going to be the one who pulls ahead. Who
well,
do you
you've only
think?
got Paul left.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, I don't think Ron Paul's going to surge
Ron
forward
Paul's
and
not
take
doing a thing.
Yeah.
He's
That's not
kind of
happening.
dead in the water at this point. Of all the people that ran,
Yes.
we're talking about Bachmann, Perry, Newt Gingrich.
Herman Cain, don't forget Herman Cain.
Who's your
No.
favorite of all those people who ran?
I don't know. Look, the cool thing is you've got Mitt Romney right now, who is effectively an analog of Obama. You've got a Republican on one side who is a centrist, who has pretty social policy, who has basically exactly the same policy as Obama, except he's ever so slightly more, transparently funded by people like the Koch brothers, etc.
Right.
So, probably he is my most favorite candidate in that it's just hilarious that you've got two clones of each other. One's black, one's white, running against each other.
One's a Mormon, one's not. Yeah.
Exactly, and I think that will be the defining factor. I mean, look, you guys have the most awesome candidates. Seriously, like they are so hilarious. Yeah, I watched a bunch of interviews a few weeks ago where people were going through evangelical churches, and they were interviewing all of the parishioners who were about to go out to vote on the primaries. And they were asking the parishioners, what do you consider more important at this election? Social issues like gay marriage and abortion, or the economy? And every single person that they interviewed in this, in these multitudes of churches that they were interviewing in, said social policy. And that freaks me out. That is crazy. That is really crazy shit. Person after person was saying that they care more that people can't have that people can't have abortions, even though they will anyway. They'll just die from it. Or they care that gays can't marry over fixing a few $1 trillion. What is it? $13 trillion of debt. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, try living here, pal.
Look, as to the abortion question, I mean, that's easy, right? It's like, well, that'll teach them. So, problem solved. Yeah. And then, the economy is so strong right now, we don't have to worry about it. That's why we have... that's why we have kids and grandkids, so they can deal with the burden of our errors.
Of course.
Right? I mean,
and they can drink that water that you've poisoned and the air that you've poisoned.
Right.
And
well, why
the
do you think I'm
ground
poisoning it? So what the fuck? Of course.
Yeah, no,
Somebody's got to.
We have our crazies here as well. There's this guy, Clive Palmer, who's a huge mining magnate, announced this week that he would be building a replica of the Titanic. In fact, a fleet
of the
Titanic.
Yeah.
And then, literally half an hour after that press conference, he announced that he's running for politics.
Oh, awesome.
That's fantastic.
That's
I can't wait for his political campaign to go down.
Yeah.
Zing.
As if it were a ship.
Personally, I want him, when he's built this Titanic, I want him to, in the memory of the original Titanic, just to be on that maiden voyage by himself.
Be the captain.
I want him to go out and actively fight icebergs.
Yeah.
Hand-to-hand iceberg combat. I love the idea that we've romanticized the Titanic. It's like, really? It was. Are you fucking kidding me?
It was just 1,500 people. Just 1,500 people.
Yeah, just
died horrible deaths. Just like, hey, was it quick? No, it was really aggressively awful. That was just fucking unbelievable. Yeah, well, how about this? We'll make a movie out of it, then we'll make boats and we'll call them all. Yeah, no, this is really.
Yeah,
the
Titanic.
So I got one more question here.
Sure.
Now, we know living here in the United States that everything is kind of reversed in Australia. You guys, the toilet bowl water swirls the wrong way.
Yeah.
We know that you're hanging upside down currently. You
Correct.
drive on the wrong side of the road.
Absolutely correct.
You also have a fucking liberal party that is not liberal?
Yeah.
How the fuck does that even work?
I know. It's the biggest oxymoron ever. It's absolutely awesome. Yeah, the Liberal Party is, in fact, the Conservative Party.
Did they do
really
it to
great.
trick you? Did they do it like, shh, we're really conservative. We want to trick everyone. Like, how the fuck did that even happen?
Well, it's historical. So a very long time ago, the Labor Party sprung up, right? And the Labor Party is basically the people concerned, or at least they were in the past, concerned with social justice issues, like giving workers rights and stuff. So, it's just any sort of opposition to that radical idea that workers deserve not to die while they're on the job and to have sort of rights would be liberal, right?
Right.
I mean, that makes sense. So it's just one of those really stupid historical things.
Oh, man.
It's a joke.
To be fair,
They
though,
need to
half
name it
of them
the
are
anger
koalas,
party or something, Yeah.
What was that? Half of them are what?
Koalas. So, it's...
Do you want to know something funny about koalas?
I do, as a matter of fact, yes.
If you ever come to Australia... Okay, if you ever come to Australia, don't have sex with the koalas because they all have chlamydia.
What?
Yeah, you
First of all,
do not have sex
thanks for the advice.
with the koalas.
What?
Yes,
they all have chlamydia.
They do.
Fuck, there goes my summer vacation, asshole.
The sex tourism trade in Australia is fucked up. I gotta tell you.
Next thing you know, all the kangaroos will have VD. What the fuck?
Actually, you want to know something funny about kangaroos?
Oh, God.
Oh,
Here we go.
God, Lord.
Here we go. So kangaroos have this really, really cool quality, right? Because they're constantly bouncing, etc. The males of the kangaroos they actually have retractable nut sacks. They can retract their balls up inside themselves. So, if you're ever fighting a kangaroo, and I really recommend this to any non-Australian person, you come to Australia, you got to fight a kangaroo.
You have to.
It's good fun.
It's a rite of fucking passage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But don't try the low blows. Don't kick them in the nuts because they will have retracted it.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work.
When you go down to Australia, you have to fight a kangaroo, you have to fuck a koala, and you have to rub a jellyfish on your face. I think those are the three things you have to do when you go to...
Do you want to know something funny about jellyfish?
Okay. Jake, it was great having you on, Jake. You should buy Jake's book on Amazon. You should listen to Jake's podcast, the ImaginaryFriendshow.com podcast. Jake, it was an absolute blast having you on.
It was an absolute pleasure talking to you guys. Thanks so much.
Thanks for coming on all the way from Austria. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
No, thank you guys. It was so wonderful. I really appreciate it.